Alright, that's the theme song done. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, technical issue there, but it's fixed, hopefully. Um, Started late because I was doing some videos, right? Let's see if I can show you guys. Let's get rid of these two. And it hit 10 to 7. I thought I want to do one more. But the problem is the video lengths are quite long, so I was going to do something on, it was going to be on immigration. So it would have been from here to, oh, that's where that tab was. Okay, that's annoying. It's about there, so I thought it's going to take me a while. Oh, I see. I don't know why it took you to Phil's stream. That's weird. I don't know. I haven't watched his content for a while. I don't like. There's no benefit in there for me. Like I don't really learn much watching his content. Like, I guess it's okay if you're like a political noob. Maybe that's the level of my content. To be fair, if you're a political noob, so yeah, we move. So there was a question on Rishi Sunak's new 5 pledges. So if you do want to ask a question, there's a community tab that exists for questions, not for statements. You can put a statement in there if you want, but that's up to you. But yeah, I learn how to get angry. Isn't that what all Scots have the ability to do? Be angry. So yeah, Sam Coates tweeting this out from a couple of days ago. That's about 5 days ago, to be fair. Your stream linked to Max. It's really weird. That's well bizarre. I don't know what happens when a stream goes down. So it must be a new YouTube feature to keep you on the platform. I guess that would make sense. Pushing someone else's content. So yeah. Anyways. Sunak's 5 long-term promises for the future, even though he's only going to be in charge for about another year and a bit at most. Reducing debt, which was one of his old pledges. Cutting tax, which, again, he's not going to do because the economy is cooked. Securing energy, I don't even know what that means. Backing British businesses, unless they're his wife's business, I don't think he'll back them. Or like friends of the Tories, given what happened during COVID and the fact that he didn't back, what are they called? He didn't back the self-employed people that much, even though the rules around like self-employment can be quite weird. Well, I am the one who's late, Kieran, to be fair. World-class education. How do you define what world-class education is? Would you say the building's collapsing on students potentially? Is that world-class or is that not world-class? I don't know. So, what is world-class education? Can the rest of the class answer what world-class education is? Because I don't know. But yeah, we'll move on to some of the stuff I did want to discuss. So, they found some tunnels under Shifa Hospital, which you probably would be aware of by now, because I'm late to covering this. How do you define world-class? I don't know, see? This the issue, because some people say, such and such a footballer is world class, and then some people dispute it. So maybe it means one of the best in the world. I don't like. It's such a nebulous phrase, like world class. Some people dispute if David Beckham was world class. So I don't know. So I would say probably the Scandinavian education seems to be world class, or at least some of the Scandinavian countries seem to have world class education. But how do you define it? Is it based on outcomes? Is it what's it based on? I don't know. Liam Brady was world. Are you saying that because he's Irish? Because I don't. If you wanted a world class Irish player, the correct answer is Roy Keane. You could have had Roy Keane, Roisin. Roy Keane. He's right there. Roy Keane. But yeah, so I don't know how you define world class. It's It's a very nebulous term. It's a very football term as well. He's world class. But yeah, it's a bit of a... He ran away to Saipan. He ran away at Saipan. Yeah, it doesn't take away from his football ability, does it? World class is when when outcomes are not wealth dependent. Well, I mean, that's not going to change here. People call Messi the GOAT, right? Yes, they do. Yeah. It's either him or Ronaldo, and I'd lean. I know it's tough, and I would have always said Ronaldo, but I lean more towards Messi now. I think Liam Brady was better the player than Roy. Oof, that's an oof from me, chatty. That's an oof from me. I'm not gonna lie. But let's discuss this situation here. So, discussing the tunnels, the military analyst at the time said, whilst it's not compelling proof, it's a lot more convincing than some weapons at a hospital room, which is true. And I want to discuss, these are the weapons they found, right? This is from one of the female soldiers at the IDF. And so if they found all of this at the hospital, I would have said, yeah, that's 100% a military base. So, whatever you want to argue, if this stuff was in there or not, we will discuss that. Kind of, it frustrates me to no end that they didn't go in there and photograph everything as where it was. So it's kind of dumb. But you've got you've got I think drones here. You've got a lot of AKs, which I guess that is the terrorist weapon of choice. It's cheap and durable. So I've met so many AKs. You've got I'm not sure what the hell those are up there. And so laptops, body vests, this is body armor. So this would make more sense, but again, people are just going to argue that this stuff was planted there, and you would think Hamas would destroy this stuff. I guess maybe if they were in a hurry, they wouldn't. I don't know, but when we go into the actual tunnel, this is better evidence than a couple of AKs in the in and around the MRI machine, which is a giant magnet. Which would be probably one of the dumbest places for a terrorist to put the stuff. And so I did find it quite interesting that she used a very different tunnel entrance. So this is the entrance she used, even though we were told that the tunnel is massively quite underground. And so there's just a weird cut there, which I guess maybe she didn't want to show herself going down the tunnel. But, I don't know. This one seems weird, because when we cut to the this guy who is the IDF kind of... Well, he's their kind of video lead. He's on a lot of their content, and this is why Twitter gets really annoying, because it constantly...
A hospital compound underneath the ground.
Okay, so this is... Twitter makes me refresh stuff. So look, you got... this stuff looks quite clean, to be fair, but it doesn't look lived in. And so you've got this... This is one of the big rooms, right, that they've got here. So it's possible that the weapons and stuff were stored here.
This room was evacuated and all the gear was evacuated. I guess it was evacuated when they knew or understand that we're going to enter into Shifa Hospital.
But so it makes sense. This thing's abandoned. Tunnels. What are sewers? No, these aren't sewers. These tunnels. So these are the tunnels. Yes, these are the tunnels. Yeah. Some Israelis have described it as a bunker, which I guess also makes sense. So this is one of the big rooms. They kind of, because if you think about how much stuff there is right here. So let's have a look quickly, right? There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of equipment here, right? And you'd store it in different rooms because it's different stuff. So you've got one kind of decent-sized room here. You've got obviously a sink, running water. It's connected to the hospital by the sounds of it. And then you go to this room here, right?
I want to show you more rooms. More rooms. This is a room. Yeah.
So does this look like a room that anyone's actually lived in? Because that's the whole argument. This was a military base. You think people live down here. You've got a metal frame. Like, who the hell's sleeping on that? I don't know. You got an AC unit, which I assume would be cold down here underground, not hot. But you have to stare at this guy's ass for like half the video, because they're trying to do it with no cuts. But
hospital provides, in that sense, electricity
yeah.
to this terror.
I've seen different arguments around what this could actually be. It looks like a prison box, that room. Yeah, it really does, to be honest. So yeah, they keep going on. This is another bit that I found really interesting and really stupid on the Israeli part. Look, have a look at this.
The one that we opened where we have seen in the movie that we reached to the blast door. We took us time to open it. We were making sure it's not booby trapped. These blast doors allows them to prevent blasts by our Air Force, meaning it can maintain the preservation.
Wait, the new Doctor Who? What, the Chatwa, whatever his name is?
Of parts of the tunnel to be protected, and also it's part of fighting. So if an enemy reaches to the door, you can fight him through the door. So it's a really
you can fight him through the door.
Sophisticated mechanism in that sense, designed to fight, and all this mechanism above us.
This mechanism was designed to fight, but then they didn't defend it. It's strange.
Is a hospital above us, patient, wounded, doctors, all being a human shield for this tunnel system here at Shifa Hospital.
So he talks in this video how this blast door is designed to protect the tunnel from explosions, right? Which I don't know, if you hit the tunnel here with a bunker buster or something like big munitions, right? How's that door going to save it? It don't make sense. So like a lot of the stuff here, it doesn't add up.
It's designed to fight, and all this mechanism, command and control, meaning from those tunnels you can command and control all the terror mechanism, waging war out.
A Stanley knife.
Outside in Gaza. This is why all the
it doesn't look that secure, but they said that they did some work on it to make sure it wasn't booby trap, so we can give them a pass on that one. With these sorts of things, you're trying to look for what's plausible and what isn't. That's, I think, the key. What can you justifiably believe, and what takes a massive leap in beliefs to understand, if you see what I'm saying.
All the senior commander terrorists came here to command the operation, went outside, went back to the hospital to do command and control.
So they're doing command and control underneath the hospital and in the hospital? Like, what? This man, like, he doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I've seen that argument, FY, that these are service tunnels. I don't know. I've never seen a hospital have service tunnels like this. Yeah, blast doors. Yeah, do you see what I'm saying? Like, he don't make sense. He was saying it so you could. I think he was trying to justify it by saying, what the hell? He was trying to justify it by saying, like, you could see enemies coming, but then wouldn't the glass... I don't know.
This is the way out with the stairs. This way out, when we entered with the bulldozer, all the sand fell down, so it's not...
Why the hell were they entering with a bulldozer? It doesn't even make sense. Unless these were booby trapped, but even then, like, wouldn't the bulldozer set off the bombs? I don't know. Apart from seeing a lot of men's butts here, I don't know what we've learned from this. Apart from, apparently Hamas runs a very clean facility, which doesn't look like anyone's actually lived down here. I don't know. Like, in terms of, like, how white it is, you'd think there'd be, like, muddy prints and whatever, but I think if you found all this stuff down here, they were better off documenting it where it was and then moving it. At least use pictures and stuff to say where it was. Like, I don't know. It's very possible this stuff was down here, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit... Yeah, I don't know. We know, to be fair, though, we know who built these tunnels. We know who built this facility.
It's already known for...
Well, they're showing us the weapons because they're claiming that the hospital was used as a base and the weapons existed underneath it.
For many years that they have in the bunkers that originally was built by Israeli constructors underneath Shifa were used as a command post of the Hamas and a kind of a junction of several tunnels. Part of the system. I don't know to say to what extent it is a major. It's probably not the only kind of command post. Several others are under other hospitals or in other sensitive places, but it's for sure had been used.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't seem to stack up. If we look back, right, I can't see exactly what's here, right? So there's a lot of AKs. It looks like there's I think it's called a light machine gun, that one, even though it's heavier than the other ones. So just a lot of AKs, to be honest. Um, some body armor, not a lot. You think there'd be more down there, but okay. I'm not sure what kind of munitions these are. But we'll go back to this brother here.
Used by Hamas even during this conflict.
Well, when you say it was built by Israeli engineers, did you misspeak?
No, decades ago we were running the place. So we held them. It was many decades ago, probably 4 decades ago, that we helped them to build these bunkers in order to enable more.
But this argument again doesn't make sense, because when we look at this lady's video, right, she talks about that being I think the back wall of the Shifa hospital or something like that. There looks like there's so much space at this place, right? They could have built more, like expanded overground. Look, they got so much space, right? There's a bloody junkyard there. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless they've bulldozed this whole area, I mean, there looks like there's loads of space. Why would you build it underground? It doesn't make sense.
Space for the operation of the hospital within the very limited.
And it didn't. How much hospital equipment you fitting down there? The
size of this compound.
Okay, all right. Well, that
how would you even take someone's hospital bed down there?
That's sort of thrown me a little bit. So these were there for a long, long time, but you're claiming, or they're claiming, that they're used as a major command center. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that as yet, they have not shown conclusive proof of that. So,
which again is true. This guy, he's a spokesperson for Israel, saying that he got here saying CNN was told by the person we just looked at that these facilities were built by Israel some years ago in order to extend capacity. Is he wrong? You got the Israeli spokesperson saying fact check. No, he didn't. And you've got him on a video saying it. So what is bro cooking? I don't know.
So,
there's been a massive kind of thing over the ceasefire and the hostages being released. Hamas confirmed second release of hostages will go ahead. Hamas confirmed the second release of hostages under the truce agreement will go ahead today. In a statement, Hamas said it upholds their appreciation towards Egypt and Qatar for ensuring the continuation of the temporary truce with Israel. So, originally when I did the video, the video says they didn't release them, but obviously I shot that video like a couple hours ago, so I probably had a note or something if I remember. The Hamas have said that whatever the issue was, it's been resolved and the hostages are being released. So again, this is good news here, and they got that through negotiations. And this deal that that is being used here, according to Jeremy Bowen, this was available before Israel had invaded.
The Israeli government, has also said in statements that after this pause needed to secure the release of the hostages, quote, fighting will resume in the Gaza Strip. The point you made, Nick, is a good one, that Netanyahu could have had this deal weeks ago. I had it from 3 strong diplomatic sources that the deal was on the table, and the Qataris thought they were almost there on the eve of the ground invasion. But the Israelis decided to go ahead with the ground invasion. The Israeli government, has also said in statements that after this pause...
Oh, sorry, it's gone through twice there. But they had this deal on the table weeks ago, and in the end it was a kind of, I guess, a hostage exchange, because a lot of these detainees that Israel has, they're not like actual prisoners, they're like quote administrative prisoners, some of them, where there's no actual case against them, they've just been arrested without cause, because there's no way Israel releasing like Hamas goons. So this deal was always available to them and they never took it until now. So, it just doesn't make sense. And if the prisoners were in these tunnels, right, how does bombing them make any sense? I mean, genuinely, I'm just so lost at some of the statements people are making. I don't get it. This from the Belgian Prime Minister. He talks about the fact that there were too many civilian deaths. The destruction of Gaza is unacceptable. And so, Belgium on the right side of this, in my opinion, where Britain just sucks on this, I'll be honest. It's interesting, the Belgian Prime Minister says, we give this message on behalf of the European Union, despite there not being a consensus in the European Union, because Germany is very much on the other side. Oh, what? The Doctor Who episode was on? No way. Oh, the one with David Tennant. Yeah, I might have to watch that when the 3 parts over. Oh, definitely gonna have to watch it. It's interesting that the Belgian Prime Minister is giving this statement on behalf of the European Union when the European Union is not joined on this. Von der Leyen gave out some really, really bizarre statements at the start of this, acting like she's running the joint when she's there to represent, the views of the heads of state, not to her own views. That's why I mentioned it. Oh, I might have to catch up on that soon. It's a 3-part. It's got Neil Patrick Harris in it, which is exciting as well. So yeah, there's that. I did see this tweet from Mehdi Hassan. He did kind of add to this actually, so I think it'd be worth see if I can find the additions. Yes, there is. He's talking about how it was really good. Catherine Tate was good as you expected to be. Yeah, but how was Neil Patrick Harris though? That's the question. Claire Daly destroyed her in the... Yeah, well, von der Leyen is a light work. Oh, Jesus, Smith, don't say that. They'll kill him. They'll kill him if they find him. Metis saying that he's had conversations similar to Shadi Hamid over their Muslim relatives, QA, that are not going to vote for Biden. And Metis says, and yes, of course, Trump will be worse than Biden for Muslims, but people are angry, people are hurting, people want to politically punish Biden for what's happening in Gaza, and this is the only way they know how in a 2-party presidential system, which he's right about. And again, you have to win votes. The voters don't fail you. The voters don't fail you. That's something Hillary Clinton learned the hard way in 2016. You have to go out there and win votes. And, I don't know who Biden's appealing to with the policies he's pushing, but it's not a winning coalition. So that's up to him what he wants to do here. But he's been very stupid about this, and he could end... I think, in my opinion, he could end this. He could end this conflict. And, it's the US that keeps blocking UN resolutions against the settlers in the West Bank. The US could stop that as well. People are very angry kind of in the replies here. There are people very angry here. But, as this guy kind of points out here that, he hopes they reconsider over the next 11 months, but it's definitely true that Biden is strongly pro-Israel. And he's saying, I hope they'll reconsider too. Yes, we are in agreement for once. So I don't know who this guy is. Bloomberg columnist, but, people do have time to kind of think about things. But at the same time, it's up to Biden to kind of figure out. And, that's up to him. Hi, Purple. 2 granddads to vote for president, and they're not even great. They're not granddads; they're great granddads at this point. Now, two guys who are really really old. I did want to talk about immigration in the UK as well. Oh no, a GB News guy put this up. I don't know. Oh well, we move. But yeah, boo GB News. Boo this man. But yeah, anyways, as I was saying, he's saying he's a moderate on migration, but there's nothing moderate about 745,000 net migration in 1 year. This is radical immigration policy. Integration worked when numbers were lower. I mean, that's not, these are people who have argued for, well over a decade that integration hasn't worked. Not him specifically. People have argued for over a decade integration is not working when immigration numbers were lower. So, at what point was integration working? That's what I'd want to ask them. At what point was it working? I don't know. Genuinely, I'd love to be on one of these panel shows. Because I'd love to quiz this guy and ask him, when, in your opinion, what was the glorious time of integration for immigrants, honestly? Net immigration since 1947, so you can see, net immigration was actually minus during, that's quite interesting. And it looks like the Tories changed that. Margaret Thatcher changed that. This is quite interesting, this kind of spike. And I think it's to do with the amount of work visas being given, because obviously when you're in the EU, they didn't have to give visas or like work permits, unless I think you were from certain EU countries, you needed some sort of work permit to work here. I think Croatia was one of those countries. But that's all changed now. and you've got former advisor to Philip Hammond, Poppy Trowbridge, and Josh Simmons, director of Labour Together. And I think Labour Together is one of the groups that runs Starmer's ran Starmer's campaign for leadership. So this could be quite interesting. They'll probably cut me off. I'd love to see them try. I'd just grab someone else's mic. I'd love to see them try. Genuinely, I'd love to see if they cut me off.
I was quite struck by, the Conservatives say these figures are shocking. Labour say these figures are shocking. How much difference do you think there is between the two parties, when it comes to migration, Josh?
Well, in a sense, not all that much, which is a sort of interesting thing in and of itself,
What's that? Not that much, sir? Can you repeat that?
When it comes to migration, Josh?
Well, in a sense, not all that much, which is a sort of interesting thing in and of itself,
What is it that, Labour have allowed themselves to be dragged into a Tory culture war on this? And again, the people who care about immigration being too high, they're not going to switch from Labour to Tories. Most likely they're going to go to Reform.
Both parties seem to support some reforms to the system. For instance, Labour said that, it would make it easier to change the occupations that we think there's a shortage of. And it said, like the Migration Advisory Committee, we should scrap the 20% discount for those coming in.
That's something we'll discuss, actually, because that policy of the 20% thing is so dumb.
But the core point really is that the net migration figures are about the economy. They're about what businesses need in terms of the workforce, and they're about how the economy is doing. And our economy is doing pretty badly at the moment, and so we need an influx of workers. And you can't really change the net migration numbers in a serious way by tinkering with reforms to the system. Actually, you have to focus on economic policy.
I would say, and I'll try and be generous here, to what's her name, Sophie Ridge. She probably does. That's why she framed the question that way.
What it's really all about.
But let's never
We'll talk about 20% discount. It's still wages.
have this debate again. It is the wrong question. It is an unhelpful question, and it is exactly why policymaking should be evolving. Is immigration too high or too low? Nonsense. It's a question that only illuminates one half of the story. The question is, do we have enough of workforce in various sectors that we need to keep our economy going? Are we forward planning for where we know we're going to need people?
Okay, this is an interesting line of questioning.
Seasonal working is a great example of that. Policymaking needs to be far more dynamic. It needs to have an if this, then we achieve that, then we will do this.
Flowchart kind of thing.
It doesn't need to be permanent, and too high or too low is binary and totally unhelpful. I think the bottom line is, do we need students studying at our universities? Yes, we do.
Yep.
Do we need people working in the NHS and in social care? Yes, we do. That needs to be...
And you can argue we can get more British people to go to university maybe, or go to, work in the NHS or care sector. But one of the issues is that there's not a lot of slack in the system. If you look at the UK's unemployment rate, it's at 4.2%. Compared to 3.7% this year. That's not that high. You do need a certain amount of slack in the system for people to be retrained, amongst other things. You need a certain amount of unemployment. Having incredibly low, like 2% unemployment, is not good. And so whatever is a high number, whatever's a low number, like that's up to people to kind of describe. But when we look at the graph, that is a terrible graph. But under the Tories, right, over the last 13 years or so, unemployment has been very low. Unemployment has been very low, and it didn't help the economy growth. That's my point. Having unemployment that low didn't help the numbers. I prefer my racism red. It didn't help that much. So kind of just unemployment alone is just one metric to look at how an economy is doing. Having it high or low is one thing. It's just one point in looking at doing analysis. We went to Australia, £1,963.10. This from Rishi Sunak, and again, this guy is just terrible.
Immigration, will you apologise for breaking the manifesto pledge to cut immigration?
I'm very clear that the levels of migration are too high and they've got to come down to more sustainable levels. I've been clear about that. It's good to see that the ONS yesterday did say that the levels of migration are now slowing, in their words, which is a welcome step, but we've got more to go. And that's why I announced a policy earlier to clamp down on the number of dependents that students can bring when they're coming here, where we've seen
the point on the dependents is so dumb, because if you're a person who's like studying, if you're an older student, right, and you have children and you want to study at university, you're not going to come to the UK because we're going to say, oh, you're going to have to leave your kids behind. Only an idiot would do that, or someone who's very desperate. Like, no one's going to do that. Unless you have family to look after them, to be fair. But, why would you want to give up looking after your kid for long periods of time to study here when you can go to another country which will probably have similar or better courses, and you can bring your children there?
Significant rise in that. That action that I took represents the single toughest measure that anyone has taken to bring down the levels of legal migration in a very long time. So that should give people a sense of my commitment to bringing migration down. And if we see further abuse of the system, of course we're prepared to act and do more.
Reports the Immigration Minister this morning wants to double the salary cap for a work visa and cap the number of NHS workers. Do you support?
We have a labour force crisis in this country where we were seeing, I think we're still seeing record vacancies. So for the economy to grow, you need to bring in people and into high CJ and into, with the right skills. Like, it's not, something's broken fundamentally in this economy that we need to bring so many people in. We have record vacancies in certain areas, however you describe it, lower skilled and higher skilled.
Those ideas, and who's going to work in the NHS if you can't hire the staff from overseas?
Well, I'm clear that the overall level of net migration is simply too high, and it's got to come down to more sustainable levels.
He just said that a minute ago.
The ONS have said that migration is
now
already slowing, so that is encouraging, but there's more to do for sure, and that's why I've already taken action together with ministers, which is to clamp down on the number of dependents that students.
I swear, when I read this caption, right, I thought she was joking. Like, Sunak gives near identical answers when asked about a broken manifesto commitment and who will work in the NHS. This will get its own video, I think. This is Sunak glitching. He's given the exact same answer, pretty much, for two different questions. One of how are you going to cut immigration, and B, who's going to work in the NHS if you cut immigration. What the hell? He's glitched. He's actually glitched. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. This is getting a solo video. Just so I remember to do it. It's absolutely getting a solo video. He's glitched. I wonder if No Justice will beat me to it, but he's glitched. Honestly, Lord Blunkett, speaking so for age, he says that Labour are focusing on skills in order to curb immigration, but one of the problems is we don't have enough people in the workforce. So if you train people to go in for shortage areas like HGV driving, bus driving, brickies, construction workers, teachers, who fills in the other roles that are left behind? It don't make sense. So this whole point doesn't make sense when unemployment is still quite low. It's gonna stay at around 4%. So who's going to fill these jobs? I don't get it. India will not sign a trade deal without without free movement of people from India. They ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that. They're not going to get a deal like that. They'll get easier visa access. There's no way they're getting freedom of movement for Indian citizens. This is the 20% thing.
That's why we're proposing to get rid of the unfair 20% wage discount. That means that there's an incentive for overseas recruitment, for employers to recruit from overseas rather than to train or to pay people fairly.
See, this is actually something Labour should run on. This is, I didn't know about this. This thing that where if they bring in certain workers from abroad, they can pay them significantly less than they can for British workers. This is the stuff Labour should be focusing on, but they're just not doing it. They've mentioned it twice from what I've seen, but this from the most intelligent man in the world, Mr. Victorian, Jacob Rees-Mogg.
I'm in favour of getting this number down very significantly. A cap is...
The Prime Minister, no, he's a short king. We don't why does that keep happening for? We don't disrespect short kings in this household, Kieran.
one way of doing it. You need to look at who you really, really need, and you need to prioritise very carefully.
What don't we need? Because we always hear people saying, "Look, we need fruit pickers. We need health and social care.
We don't need fruit pickers."
Right.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, I'm against food security. Remember when? I guess his whole ideology is we can just import the food. So yeah, we don't disrespect short kings in this house. You can do that on his channel. He can do that on his channel, but not here.
If fruit can be grown more cheaply and more economically in foreign countries, we should import fruit and focus on our competitive advantage.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg. I don't understand food security. This was a bizarre one. I think Max covered this one already, but this whole idea on British, let's listen to this.
What about the cultural issue? What do you mean?
What I mean is that for the UK to work,
it's really funny how they stand so far apart. It's like COVID again. There's a 2 metre distance.
We want people who come here to want to enjoy and to live under one single British culture that unifies us all.
There is no one single British culture. Did you like what? Like what? Like you have loads of different cultures. I thought that's the whole point. England's like a melting pot. Not like America's a melting pot. America's the biggest one in the world because it's full of people from around the world. Do you think it's Tice's breath? Jesus. His tie, that's such an ugly colour for a tie. But this idea, like Scottish, they're like in England, like they can't. Why does that keep happening for? In England, they can't even describe what a bread roll is. Some people call it like a bap or something like that. Like this idea that there's a homogenous culture in England. No, like there isn't. Just England alone. Forget the rest of Britain, right? You got Scotland. Scottish culture is quite different. I mean, they have their McDonald's in Scotland serve iron brew. Why don't the ones in England do it? He's not married to her anymore. I think they're divorced. But like, why? This idea that this British culture is homogenous. Like, they get iron brew in Scottish McDonald's and we don't get it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Something's gone wrong there. Honestly. So, this idea that there's unified British culture, just no, definitely not. Especially when you count in Northern Ireland. But I guess Northern Ireland, it wouldn't be. It'd be Great Britain and Northern Ireland, but Northern Ireland's culture is different with their burning effigies and all that weird much stuff that they do. No, this idea of British culture is just no. Just no, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's a mishmash of three different 3 countries and 6 provinces, or however you want to describe it, 6 counties. This is just complete nonsense. You lot start accepting Scottishness and we start easing the flow. Look, man, I ain't the one not accepting Scottishness. I'll accept Scottish money. If you put Hamza Yusuf on the £10 note, I'll take that as long as it's legal. I can cash it in at the bank. I'll take it. But the fact that we can't get the good iron brew down here is no. I don't respect it. The fact that I can't get the good Scottish ice creams down here without searching through about multiple stores. The Mackey's ice cream, not sponsored by the way, not Iron Brew, don't sponsor me, but I like their products. Is shambles.
What is one single British culture?
That's about being British. It's about who we are, where we've come from, our way of life.
What
way of life? Who's our? Who are you talking about? The national dish of this, one of the national dishes of this country is chicken tikka masala, bruv. Like what part of England does that? What part of Britain does that hail from? What part of Britain does the masala hail from?
You say that British culture means being British, but what does it mean?
It means everything that our values, our sense of decency, of fair play, of transparency,
but a lot of people who come to the UK are decent.
David Cameron, Tony Blair, Dame Louise Casey all said, and they're right, and Suella Braverman, multiculturalism has failed. Unifying under one single British culture. That's where we...
Again, it drives me nuts. What is British culture? What is it? Like, what is British culture? The buffering style. Oh, fuck. Come on.
Need to go. So you need to be able to absorb immigration in numbers that can work for everybody. If you have...
What are the numbers? How much are we talking? We're talking 15, 20,000, 30,000. How many people are we talking?
Mass immigration, you get too much pressure too quickly.
Yeah, in Scotland, yeah, and it became a hit. It became a British national dish. But my question is, without immigration, this idea of we need to fall under one kind of banner or whatever, you wouldn't get cool stuff like that if that happened.
As we're seeing on public services, and people don't integrate and absorb into communities, and that's
what's he? Oh fucking hell! I wish I need to. One day I hope I can talk to this clown and ask him what are British values, genuinely. We keep going.
Well, it's simply much too high. That the Conservatives promised we'd get it down into the tens of thousands.
You promised that from 2010. That's what David Cameron promised.
And over the 2 years, they've revised up.
Yeah, he means more patriotic. I think he means more of one kind of skin colour, one kind of ideology, if that makes sense.
2022, and then they've come up.
There's been a lot of MOG on this stream. There's 2 MOG videos. Too many.
With a new figure for 2023. Between those two, you've got 1.4 million net migration. That's a huge number for the country to absorb.
The Home Secretary says the numbers are not showing a significant increase. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I think that's an odd way of looking at it. It's only not rising when you don't compare the revised figure with the latest figure.
I mean, he's doing this because his constituents apparently care for it. Hopefully the people of Somerset get this geezer gone. Let's see. After leaving the EU, the UK can't blame the bloc for its... Where's my mouse? Oh, Jesus. Oh, bear with me, guys. My mouse battery's dead. I'm just going to grab my charger quickly. It's a rough day for the old stream. I'll tell you that for free. It ain't easy. Making YouTube videos with no help. Production-wise. Okay, there we go. We back. It's also not easy not being prepared for anything. After leaving the UK... After leaving... I went full Pretty Patel there. After leaving the EU, the UK can't blame the EU for rising migration figures. Facts. It's just that the battery is dead. It's rechargeable. This is the video I wanted. So this is from Ed Conway, and he explains this.
People leaving as well, but then it's those new Brexit rules and new immigration rules coming in that really kickstarts that big leap in migration, in net migration. And when you look,
I think this is down to the way they've set up the visa, because obviously if you were an EU citizen before, you didn't need a work visa. So I don't know how they counted you in the actual numbers.
Look at where people are coming from or indeed going to. Well, this
because once those numbers changed, that's what once the Brexit happened, the numbers changed dramatically, and it's too much. There must be something in methodology. The pro level of readiness for this stream exactly.
Is it EU citizens? And you can see before Brexit it was relatively strong, hundreds of thousands, and then it's a negative territory after Brexit. That's EU citizens leaving the UK. Then you've got UK citizens, and then consider this. Non-EU citizens coming into the UK in their droves, really, faster than we've ever seen before. And the interesting thing is, if we break that down, so dig into those red bars and just look at what are the reasons that people are coming for, a lot of it is work. A lot of it is work. Actually, the second bit...
It's because the UK changed the visa requirements for non-EU citizens, that's why. Or sort of, they normalised the visa requirements. So the non-EU visa requirements also apply to EU citizens. So it's one of the reasons.
Biggest chunk is work, but then you've got studies. So students, and particularly after Brexit, those new rules came in. A lot of
what you would have is a lot of kind of what is this? Why does it keep changing for? Bear with me. Sorry, I was going to say I think the universities are doing a lot more kind of not recruitment but words. Yeah, the negative bars unread. They're doing a lot more kind of work to get non-EU students into UK universities because they pay more in fees, and they also have to replace the EU citizens that we've lost. So a lot of EU students came here because it was easy for them. They just have to apply. But now I think the fees are higher and they have to go through more paperwork. So that's why you kind of had a big drop-off of EU citizens, I think, coming to the UK. And also the fact that qualifications don't carry over. So just because you get a qualification in Britain doesn't mean that qualification carries over to the EU states.
A lot of students coming into the
So the majority of them are students anyways.
UK, and then you've got, well, other categories. But notably, look at this. This is Ukraine and Hong Kong. So big numbers coming in from Ukraine and Hong Kong. But it's not actually enough to explain the big leap. It's much.
I mean, this is the big leap here.
Smaller than this, much smaller than work as well. And also worth saying as well, you've got illegal immigration as well. It's quite a small slice. It's about kind of 50,000 compared to these big numbers here. But let's dig in finally to work, because it's worth just asking, where are people working? Where are they coming to work? And you've got various different strands we can break this down to. You've got temporary workers, other work as well. But if you look at skilled work, the main thing that sticks out is this. Look, it's health and care.
It's the boomers who are mad at immigrants who need the help for the most part.
People are coming from around the world, particularly non-EU, to work in the health system, in the NHS. That is a big part of the explanation alongside studies.
Because not a lot of them, but a significant amount of them have left. EU health workers have left to go to the EU. They might have got better offers in the EU as kind of different countries are kind of reassessing their healthcare facilities. They would have lost healthcare workers during the pandemic as well. And also British ones are being poached by Australia and New Zealand.
For why you see those unprecedented numbers of migration. When I say unprecedented, this is really one of the most striking things we've seen in the country recently, a massive increase in the number of people coming here.
So I think this is mostly down to, one of the problems is methodology, because it's the way it's being calculated here. So I don't know, whilst we're members of the EU, how much, in terms of EU citizens coming to study here, how much of it was recorded properly. That's the kind of thing I'd be interested to know. But I'm going to pull this back for the actual video that I'm going to do on this. You guys get a sneak preview because this is the live stream. It's like a pre-release event, but for my crappy content, not for good cards. We go on. This is Annalise Dodds calling the migration figures an appalling failure, saying the huge increase in health and social care visas is a massive failure in planning and shows the UK government isn't supporting domestic workforce, which is partially true. Healthcare workers aren't paid anywhere near enough, massively overworked. That goes for kind of people who look after older people in care homes and stuff, as well as NHS workers. But again, I point to the immigration figures to ask you, where in Britain are you going to find these people to actually do these jobs when there's not a lot of slack in the system as is? And this call to James O'Brien, which I found quite an interesting call.
I really enjoy coming through the border control when I come back from Portugal from holiday and telling the border control officer that I'm coming home. And that not only gives me joy, not because I'm confronting him or her. It gives me joy because I feel it. Yes. I genuinely feel it. And so I think the past 6, 7, 8 years have been incredibly difficult in that sense.
Can we, bro? I said don't mention the tabs. Why are you why are people obsessed with the tabs? I'm running. I'm at 87%. I am running it quite high. I'm not gonna lie, but we don't talk about the tabs here.
On the other hand,
just like there is no war in Ba Sing Se, there is no problem with the tabs here. There are a lot of Chinese students in Sheffield increasing to government are fine if they're being paid vast amounts to accept them. China's also heavily invested in around the city centre. Yeah, I think with kind of a lot of students coming from China, I think that's because it contributes a lot to the economy. It contributes a lot to the universities as well. I think that's one of the main reasons why it's allowed. But there'll be more kind of students from Asia coming to the UK because they're going to make it. It's easier for them to come here now, and they're being sought after a lot more because they pay a lot more in fees.
I feel quite lucky and quite privileged for all the opportunities that I've been given, and I have a good life here.
Yes.
And I enjoy it now. Do I need to justify my existence through the value that I bring to Britain?
I think that's a problem that a lot of kind of people with immigrant backgrounds and even people that may have been born here but have parents or grandparents that immigrated feel that why should we have to justify our existence? And this caller says that since Brexit he's felt this constant sense that he became part of the problem because immigrants keep getting vilified in the media, which doesn't make sense. Chinese students at university pay 15+ K a year. Yeah, that's true, and they contribute to the economy as well. They spend money on food. obviously to live, their accommodation, etc. So this idea that students are a problem, like I don't know if a lot of the Chinese students, if they will stay in the UK, or if they will go back to China or go somewhere else. I don't really care. But they do have to, if they want to stay in the UK, they have to find a job that pays a certain amount, and I think within their field. They've got about 2 years to do it in. So classing students as immigrants doesn't make sense unless they want to stay here long term. Like, when they get the long term visa, that's when it makes sense. It's just silly. This conversation, like, silly. I did want to talk about the Tories cooking the economy. Sunak, the Conservatives saying Conservatives cut taxes, it's what we do. Largest ever tax cut for workers, which is complete nonsense. The OBR states that the UK tax burden will keep rising for the next 5 years in section 1.186 of its economic fiscal outlook to a post-World War II high. A tax burden created by this government. So once again, Twitter context notes comes through again with the goods. And the Tories get called out for it. And if I worked in the media, I would mention this stuff. I was like, why do you guys keep getting called out by Twitter fact checkers? When we look at the tax amount, we can see here they can talk about they changed the national insurance, but all that would mean is you would just pay more in tax anyways. If you look at see the changes here, you'll save a bit in I think in national insurance, but you'll pay more in income tax. The percentage change is really bad. If you look here, it's just minus. It's almost like -2%. So I think you'll be paying a significant amount more in tax. Just silly. Big Maj struggles to read graphs. And you got this from Laura Trott talking about the situation.
We've spoken a lot about tax. I just want to talk to you about public services. Of course. Because it feels like you've penciled in a massive squeeze in public services once inflation's taken into account. And I just want to show you this graph just to try and illustrate what I'm trying to say. So this is the projected spending in government departments. The yellow line there at the top is a projected line from March, and the blue line is today. So you've effectively taken out £19 billion in
what does
public services.
Escape mean? So so this is my area. So in terms of the amount that we're spending on public services, it has gone up by 2.6% since the spending review in real terms. That's the whole amount of public spending. And by the end of what we call the forecast period, so that's 28-29, it would have gone up by £85 billion in real terms. Now, of course, within that, we've made some choices. We have prioritised the NHS. NHS spending is up by a third since 2019, and that's excluding...
And where's that money going? Is it going to private companies? Is it going to, where is that money going? That's what I'd love to see the answer.
COVID spend.
We all know, you know, and I know, that what you're projecting post the election really means a huge squeeze in non-protected departments. And that's things like the courts, that's things like capital budgets, that's things like transport. You know that.
So
that's
we're increasing... So
yes,
you're right in terms of choices. We're increasing spending by 1% in real terms overall. So that's really important for people at home to understand. Now, within that, there will be decisions. We will prioritise certain areas.
Wow, 1%
We will prioritise the NHS. We will prioritise schools. That is really important. But spending is going up in real terms, and it's very important to remember that.
It feels a little bit like it's a kind of scorched earth policy for an incoming Labour government.
I mean, 85...
No one expects you to stick to these spending plans.
1%
or any
real,
government.
1% real is an expansion in spending. That is a big expansion in spending, 1% real. £85 billion more in real terms by 28-29. There is questions as to the growth of public spending versus the growth of GDP overall. But we can be absolutely clear that public spending is going up in real terms.
OK. Now, you've been brought into the Treasury inner sanctum, shall we say. You kind of been made Chief Secretary to the Treasury. So I just wonder if you could kind of take me behind the scenes a bit. How much of a backseat driver was Rishi Sunak?
Look, I have worked in government for a long period of time, so I used to be a special advisor in Number 10 under David Cameron. Delighted.
Oh, she's been here for a while then. I didn't realise she's been in politics that long.
To see him back. And there is always very close working, and it's really important there is close working between...
This has been really boring. This is pointless. But, this idea of they've made some tough choices. I mean, they're trying to cut more money from people with disabilities, so... Tobias Elwood saying the polls won't shift immediately. It's like, it will potentially type a bit towards the election. Tie up by, I don't mean it's going to be equal, but, I can see the Tories probably gaining a few points, maybe, say, between, say, 2 and 5% maybe. And I can see Labour dropping some points. but I can't imagine that it's gonna. Boy, if we enter hung parliament territory, I mean, that's a massive failure of leadership from Labour. That's only if it happens. Yeah, this from Jeremy Hunt. I mean, he gets accused of spinning stuff. There's only so much like nonsense you could take, guys, before even my ears start bleeding. And this is kind of one of the keys here. Woke up at 4:30. All right, see ya 30. This is one of the interesting things Ridge has really talked about.
Well, Beth joins us live now from Downing Street. Beth, you obviously interviewed the Chancellor today. What was he seeming like?
Well, to be honest, he got a bit tetchy when I pressed him on what you were talking about earlier, Sophie, which is the fiscal drag. Now, that is basically a technical term for people being pulled into higher tax brackets because the government has frozen tax thresholds. So as your wages go up, you get pulled into higher tax bands. Put it into context. Looking at the OBR, the independent forecaster, they're saying by 2028, 4 million more people will be paying the 20% income tax rate.
So, because people's pay has gone up, you are going to fall into these tax brackets because even if you do get a pay increase, you are still paying more in tax. And because the tax bands haven't moved with inflation, effectively, it's being called a stealth tax, which is true.
3 million of us will be paying the 40%, the higher tax rate. That's 7 million people being pulled into higher tax bands or indeed having to start paying income tax. And I think this is the rub, really, that yes, there have been some sort of immediate hits in terms of that national insurance cut or the pensioners' 8.5% lift in the state pension. But the headlines tomorrow will be the highest ever tax burden for this country. And that makes it really difficult for a Chancellor to say that the Conservatives were a party of low tax. You saw in that interview, he couldn't tell me that taxes would be going down in this Parliament because they won't. That's not what the forecasts have. And it's literally they don't have the manoeuvrability to do that. So when it comes to a reset moment, this was another one. We've talked a lot.
Oh, Rishi Sunak loves a reset. He loves a reset.
Haven't we, about the speech?
They ain't gonna chase the money down. They ain't gonna do it. They're not gonna look back.
In Parliament at the conference speech, the King's speech, in which he sets out his legislative agenda, the reshuffle, the autumn statement, a big reset moment. And I'm afraid to say that whilst the tax cuts do signal an intent, voters might be...
There wasn't a tax cut, though. He cut the amount of national insurance. There's no tax cut. There's no income tax cut.
In their heads saying, well, I don't feel better off. And I'm reading today that actually all of our taxes are still going up.
That's a good point. Beth Rigby, thank you.
I think the Mail will report on it. I think the Mail will. I did want to discuss this... from Labour. There's a couple other bits and pieces to discuss. We're going for about an hour. The target for the stream's about an hour and a half, to be fair, so we're doing good. And Twitter have changed the way they do articles, which is annoying. But this is about Labour cutting their pledge, allegedly cutting their pledge around the 28 billion they're going to spend on green energy. So Ian Dunt saying, if this is true, it's a disaster, taking one of the key radical elements of Starmer's Labour and eradicating it so it can satisfy a meaningless and arbitrary fiscal rule. The most depressing element is that it removes the mandate. This was a chance to show public support for aggressive green action and Keynesian stimulus. But the problem is Starmer doesn't and Reeves don't really believe in economic stimulus based on what they've said recently. So there's that. So let's have a look at what Ian Dunt is complaining about. So according to The Telegraph, Starmer wants to water down Labour's 28 billion green pledge even further. And so a party source has said there's growing pressure from Keir's office to go further to reduce the cost and impact on the scheme. This is a quote that's in the BBC article as well, saying the fiscal rule matters more. That will dictate how much is in the Green Prosperities Fund, the source added. So this is important because this is in the BBC article. Now, the BBC article originally said Labour is abandoning its £28 billion pledge. but then it's, someone's offered a correction or some sort of statement in the interim. Because what Labour typically do is they'll kind of leak something, and then, or someone will announce something, and then it will get briefed as, no, actually, we're not going to do that. Happened with the 0 hours contracts, happened with a couple of different other policies as well, especially the ones Rayner announces. All right, good luck at the shop. Hopefully you don't spend too much on stuff you don't need. That's a big problem for me. The artist formerly known as Twitter. So Labour denied this article. Senior sources suggested to the BBC. So someone had briefed the BBC that the previously promised 28 billion a year might never be reached. A party spokesman said, if elected, Labour would ramp up investment in energy and jobs to a total of £28 billion a year as planned in the second half of the parliamentary term. When the second half begins, are we talking 25, 26? But the original policy, it was watered down, 28 billion a year on kind of green energy until 2030, which how they were going to fund that is going to be funded via borrowing. I mean, that's very ambitious. 28 billion pounds a year would be very ambitious. It would be almost kind of it would be like, not far off one test and trace a year. It would be quite a lot lower than what test and trace. Test and trace is 37, I think, in the end. But Reeves in June cut down that pledge. We know that. A senior Labour source said the leader's office did this because of the state of the public finances, which we'll discuss in a minute. But she has scaled down this pledge. She says she will never play fast and loose with the public finances, but this is just more austerity. This is basically the lady version of George Osborne. I'll be honest. She's just pushing austerity. She's pushing kind of the austere politics of Osborne, which is, household budgets. You can't spend money you don't have, etc. When that's not how you grow the economy. Like, you grow the economy through borrowing. That's what Keynesian economics is about. So it doesn't make sense. Essentially the Daily Telegraph were briefed on this. Labour is determined to paint itself as the party of economic credibility, even if it means tempering one of its central planks for its programme of government. And we're in a world where China is investing heavily in green energy and green technology. The Americans are investing heavily in green energy and green technology. The EU are investing heavily in green energy and green technology. So you have the three biggest blocs in the world investing heavily with subsidies, huge subsidies, to companies to set up shop there, to do their research there, to set up their manufacturing there, right? No, it wouldn't have worked like that, Reagan, because this is £28 billion per year. So this would have been £28 billion over multiple years they would have been spending. And also that 37 billion, that's gone. That money's gone. Poof, it's gone. So, anyways, this is like, it's over. Oh, Tobias Elwood. Yeah, but Toby's a moron, to be fair. This Toby Elwood, he's a stupid. And so no one cares about what Tobias Elwood is saying. He's the guy who said, we should rejoin the single market. Like, okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. But it don't make sense. The party's fiscal rule, which includes a promise to get debt falling within 5 years, are viewed as the North Star, more important than any policy. Do you know, right? When you manage to kind of when you manage to push austerity again and people are still miserable in 5 years, and then you're not going to manage to plug away the debt. Let's be honest, because you need the economy to grow to do that, and you're barely going to do it, right? What are you going to tell people in 5 years when their lives are still trash, that their prospects are still rubbish, their public infrastructure is still rubbish? What are you going to tell voters in 5 years, buddy? That's what I'd want to ask Reeves here. Someone who loves plagiarising. This from No Justice is pretty funny.
What should Labour get into government this year? What will you do about that? How will you find money for public services?
Well, it's exactly the point that you can't have a strong economy without strong public services.
She's going to say the main thing we can do to fund public services is to grow the economy for extra tax receipts, right? That's the first thing she's going to say, is to grow the economy. And she's going to mention the non-dom tax status.
So, I'm not going to lie, I've already watched this clip. She gets one of these right, not the other one.
My prediction.
And because of that, we've identified sources of income that we could bring in, particularly this loophole for non-doms and other areas.
I don't know if you I don't know if you can take a victory lap because you only got one, but we'll give her that. We'll give her that. She got one of those. I would have guessed non-dom, non-dom status, but I wouldn't have guessed. I probably would have said they're going to say grow the economy. So, nonsense. Like the non-dom tax going to pay for everything? Let's not forget the windfall tax. That's going to pay for everything as well. It's just silly. Under Dave, the UK was a world leader in green energy, especially wind, because he cut support on other stuff. Almost 100% of the companies went broke. So German and others brought up all the IP, etc. It doesn't surprise me. No, Labour aren't going to do a wealth tax or a mansion tax. Those are communists, bro. We don't do that around here. I did want to discuss when Labour talk about the fiscal cost. So if we look at the yields on UK bonds, which probably won't go up further than this because the interest rate is going to be stable. I think the main things that define the kind of bond yields are the country's interest rate, how reliable the bonds are in terms of how stable they are. Can you just sell them off? Which we saw under Liz Truss, like the bonds completely lost value because people lost faith in the amount of they would get in return in terms of are they actually going to get paid back for the bonds? I guess people were wondering, is the UK going to default on the bonds because they were asked to basically lend the UK a significant amount of money, and when they were asked where are you going to spend the money, Liz Truss said, don't worry about it, forget about it. So, there was that. So if we look at the UK's bonds, right, you're looking at 4.2% for the 9-year, 4.5% for the 12-year, etc., right? If we look at the EU bonds, you got 3.5 for EU, the next gen bond, France at 3.38, Belgium 3.3, and Italy 3.65. Okay, so the UK bond yields are higher. So it would make sense our borrowing would be more expensive than the Eurozone countries because our interest rates are higher and our bonds aren't seen as kind of the gold standard, I think, as much anymore. That's kind of come back a bit, though, I think, the kind of the ratings of UK bonds. But so you can see kind of the argument of it will cost us more to borrow, right? But, again, if you invest that money properly, the Tories wasted 100 billion, right? If that money was actually put into the economy, we'd be in a much better position, like properly funded stuff. But we look at the US bonds. The US bonds are higher than the UK's bonds because, again, the US bonds are the US has a higher interest rate than the UK does currently. So US bonds are higher, and yet you still got what's his name, big man Joe Biden, still borrowing considerable amounts of money in order to fund his kind of Green New Deal. So the idea that the UK doesn't have the money doesn't make sense. Yeah, the UK is kind of, you can argue the UK can't borrow a significant amount of money. I mean, you could say that given that we're paying higher interest rates than kind of other European countries, and obviously we're not the United States of America, like we can't borrow as much, which is fine. That's an okay argument to make. The idea that we have to follow these nonsense fiscal rules, complete BS. Complete BS. This is the Geddes Axe, the return of the axe, honestly. And it's not, Labour have kind of gaslit us a lot, but you got this guy Darren Jones claiming that the Labour Party didn't say that they didn't want a ceasefire. That's a double negative.
While I understand calls for a ceasefire at this stage, I do not believe that it is the correct position now.
So I don't know. Maybe Starmer's position changed on it. He did say he wanted cessation to the fighting. A cessation is basically a ceasefire. Let's have a look at let's Google these words because he's a tricky lawyer. The word cessation means the fact or process of ending or being brought to an end. Just like I hope his leadership term is, and I hope he gets replaced by someone sharpish. So he did want the conflict to end, but he wouldn't say the word ceasefire. So when people moan and say, well, where do people get the idea that Labour weren't calling for a ceasefire?
While I understand calls for a ceasefire at this stage, I do not believe that it is the correct position now.
And so, when you use different words like cessation, people might not know what cessation actually means. So you just look slimy when you say, well, actually, I called for a cessation to the fighting, which is like a ceasefire. Why are you mad at me? You look like an absolute melon. You look stupid. This is a good Labour attack ad, which I found quite funny.
From suffering from homelessness.
Let's go again.
Oh, that's very loud.
Next question. Why are 34% of children in my constituency living in
Question
poverty?
good. Question good.
I'm listening.
Comment there.
This is based off the whole thing around like Liverpool Football Club and the VAR check. They botched the audio, so they've really done my head in.
Comment there.
Mr.
Delay,
Speaker,
delay, delay.
It's this government.
Can I get a replay, please? Okay, and enhance the audio.
Yeah, I mean you can hear him swear there.
We're gonna have to draw a line. Yeah, for me, he's crossed the line. He's crossed the line there. We're gonna have to send this up.
Yeah, but this is actually a decent attack ad. I think they kind of milk it a bit too much, but this is not a good attack ad. You know, a man who hammers working people can't work a hammer. You know, Sunak, not the son of a toolmaker. Well, the son of a toolmaker would know that he was told to use it like this.
Which one of these?
Oh, let's go that one, but you're going to use this bit.
Oh.
Okay?
Sideways.
Yeah, think about it. Right, good. No, no, no.
Oh, no.
More.
Oh, more?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah. Now, come on, Richie.
What Bro is doing, I don't know, but this attack ad's pretty miserable. I wonder if the media are going to call him on it.
Which one of these?
Oh, let's go that one, but you're going to use this bit.
And Iona, I think her name's Iona Wells or Ione Wells, I'm not sure. Yeah, she's pretty good. She's quite an interesting BBC reporter, so I'd definitely say it's worth following her on Twitter because she was one of the quickest on the correction here, which is quite cool.
Oh.
Okay.
Sideways.
Yeah.
I think he told him to use it sideways because it's easier to be accurate.
Yeah, think about it. Right, good. No, no, no.
Oh, no.
More.
Oh, more?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah. Now, come on, Richie.
At least Bro's outfit is on point, to be fair. I do like the shirt and jumper look. It's quite a good look. So here we have a good Labour attack. Oh, a good Labour attack ad and a bad Labour attack ad. Yeah, maybe this is the reason why houses ain't being built. Maybe. But yeah, no, we've covered that one already. Was there any more? Ian Dunn. This is off the thing. That should really be over here. Further across. Labour is going to be more radical than you think. This article from less than 2 months ago. Okay, you know, this is nonsense. And you know, these guys get paid. You know, he gets paid to write this kind of nonsense, and it's like he's just terrible. Honestly, he's a guy who said, "Oh, Rishi Sunak's like decent," and then you're like, okay, then, yeah, you know, Rishi Sunak, austerity man himself. Another austerity boy, to be honest. Good one. That's these two. 3. This is one I wanted to do a separate video on. So, yeah, you know, if you guys got any questions, throw them in the comments. And we're going to wrap up within a few minutes. Let me replay my theme. But if you got any comments you want to throw in quick... See, sorry, I'll leave that actually. I thought he actually looks alright in this video, so, you know, I think it's quite a nice look. It's a smart casual look. You know, fair enough, he's rich, so he can afford, you know, loads of outfits, but I thought it's a smart look. From the current front bench, who would you like to see? Oh, mate. Alright, let's see. The Labour front bench. Jesus, that's a hospital question of an answer, isn't it? Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Rayner, nah, she's kind of biffed it. No, Reeves, not Phillipson, no, definitely not. If he didn't have the 2015 situation, if that didn't happen, 100% I would have said new Ed Miliband, buffed Ed Miliband. This would be the man here. This would be my guy right here. This would be it. He's my pick. He'd be my pick. Okay, screw 2015 Ed. This new Ed Miliband. This is the guy I would want to see replace him. Definitely not this fraud. Not him. Not him. Not him. Not her. No. I'd have to see more from her. I think she might be okay. No, she's. I don't think she's like not strong enough as leader. Not with you on Ed. Not West Street. With you on Ed. No. Ed. What's his name? West Streeting sucks. West Streeting is, out of all of the front benches, right? All right, Phil. His outfit, I think he looked fine. Wes Streeting is, in my opinion, the worst front bencher on the team. And that's with big titans like Rachel Reeves in the gang. With David Lammy, I would say I dislike Wes Streeting more than I dislike any other front bencher. Any of the other front benchers. Nah. Don't put any respect on his name. Put some respect on my man's name, Ed Miliband. Put some respect on his name. See where we're going. Maybe we see more from her. Not Annalise Dodds. I think she probably should be higher in the party. She's quite boring. Not this. He's the guy who came up with the poster thing. So no. He's not his father's son. Don't know who that is. No. Not Emily Thornberry. Definitely not Lisa Nandy. Darren Jones. No, we just saw from him. Ellie Reed. I don't know who that is. No. Alan Campbell. No. Baron Angela Smith. I don't know who that is. Lord Roy Kennedy. I don't know who that is either. Roy. Sorry, I just love the name Roy. It's so much fun. Leroy Jenkins. So I would say the only person who I could back the thing is Ed Miliband. Bring him back. Let's go Ed Miliband. None of them. No Andy. We stand Ed Miliband in this house. My boy Ed. Let's see. Stream's not over yet. Sock. Let's see. How many Green MPs will we have? Them winning Brighton could be difficult. I'd say at push 3 at push. See Nick. See you got to be careful when you type stuff, because Streeting sucks. Streeting reminds me of a Tory. Yeah, he sucks. Who will be next Tory leader? I would say I'd have to know who survives, but I'd say it'd be between Penny Mordaunt, if she makes it, Penny Mordaunt and Braverman. And I'd say in the leadership contest, I think Mordaunt. I think Braverman would win it. So I would say it's going to be, as long as they make it through the election, it's going to be Suella Braverman. Morgan McSweeney. I didn't know Justice talk about him a lot. I don't. Pain. I don't know. Why does the audience want to inflict pain on me? Morgan McSweeney. Is this guy? Does he look like Voldemort? This guy. He, what's his name? Not Dominic Cummings. That's it. Yeah, I remember him. No, fuck that guy. Some of my careers. Ed loves a BLT, so that makes him a top man in my book. It's too bad he can't eat one properly. If he could eat a BLT properly, he wouldn't be in this mess. We could have had chaos with Ed Miliband, but the country fumbled. We could have had it all, you know. Could have had so much, and then we voted for an absolute clown, and then we got the whole circus. The whole circus came by through this country. Honestly, shambles. Is there any more questions? Braverman seat safer. Yeah, I think if they both make it through, because you never know. Safer seat in the UK. You have to go back like. All right. Because Penny Mordaunt's seat isn't safe. So I'd say. I'm trying to think who's popular, because Mog might lose his seat. So if we think about who's going to be left in the party, I'd need a list of names. That's the problem. I need a list of names to pick from. I would say probably be. I think it'd be Braverman then. If Braverman's got a proper safe seat, it's going to be Big Suella. I can't see anyone else taking it from her, I'll be honest. Is there any more questions? We'll wrap up in a few minutes if not. But, yeah. Chaos. Give me Chaos with Ed Miliband any day. Correct. She's in Portsmouth North. It was a Labour seat up until from what I've heard, I don't think her constituents like her that much either, because they know she's got big career ambitions, and she's not really about her constituency from what I've heard. She's not trying to pay someone else's diesel with a. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this hammer incident is pretty easy to dunk on, but yeah, his PR team need to be a bit more careful, Sunak. Because he's out of touch as is, and everything he does makes him look more out of touch. I don't think anyone wants to be that at PMQs, to be honest. They should bring back John Bercow as Speaker of the House, at least then. Order! You live in Portsmouth South, yeah. I do listen to what people say, you know. I'm not so out of touch just yet. You know, you guys get me to ridiculous numbers on the channel, and I'll be out of touch. But for now, I listen to what the people say, and it's the easiest way to learn stuff. Just saw you on live, thought I'd check it out. I found you through Sunday Roast with Max. Hopefully I'll get asked one day if my channel gets big enough. How big's your channel? Oh, let's see. YouTube sucks. I can't. Alright, let's see if I can find your channel on YouTube. Bear with me 1 second, gang. Count down to power. See if I can find you. Here we go. How many videos do you have? Oh yeah, so I see. You've not done too much, to be fair. Yeah, it's quite a new channel. Yeah, cool. Okay. Let's see. Will it let me do this? That's the key question. There you go. Is it gonna let me post it? Come on, YouTube, it's my own damn channel. Why can't? Okay, no, it's worked. I'm gonna delete one of those so it doesn't look like I've spammed it. But yeah, you can check out my man's channel here. So yeah, see what the audience think of it. Yeah, I don't think your channel has to be that big to go on Sunday Roast. I can, let's see. Yeah, let me see if I can pull some strings for you. I can ask. Let me check your channel, and I can ask my man. It's always good to get new characters in the cast, anyways. It gives him more rotation options. But yeah, check out my man's channel. See what you think. Let the people decide what they think about it. But there's a link to his channel there. I heard about the Who bullying thing, but he could turn that. The what? Who's bullying? What did I miss? Oh, John Burkham bullying. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. I'd leave him out. I'd bench him. Burkow. Not been too long, but I'm putting a lot of effort in. Yeah. It doesn't. It takes a long time. Trust me. But let's see.
Huns began the autumn statement on Wednesday. Just a quick interjection, I won't keep you long. YouTube's algorithms work on whether you subscribed levels of poverty by manipulating figures and definitions. But little Rishi had to wait for a moment after the question.
Yeah, not bad. I'll be sure to keep an eye out. Yeah, not bad. So Max Taylor on Sunday Roast. Yeah, drop him a mention. I'll do the same. Might be worth yeah. Max gave me a chance on his channel, so you know, as long as they like your content, it's all right. Like I said, Max gave me a big chance on his channel, so he did a stream on his channel. I don't remember when it was, like probably about 2 years ago. So yeah, no worries. I'm sure like No Justice will give you a shout out as well if you go onto one of her streams. She seems okay. Yeah, I guess we'll call it a day. Let me grab my man's channel link. Oh, bruh. yeah, we'll call it here. Great stream. Yeah, have a great rest of your weekend, guys. I'll be enjoying mine, making some more content, and don't know what else. I've got some stuff I need to unbox. I've got like some new packs and stuff I need to sort out. But yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully next week. Keep an eye on the community section for the post. Oh yeah, trust me, you get used to it. The more you edit, the more you get used to it. Trust me. But what's it called? Yeah, check out the community section in and around weekends to see when the post goes up, so you can ask questions. And that way, kind of helps the flow of the stream. But anyways, I'll catch you lot next week. And in the immortal words of Tobey Maguire, see ya, chump. That's how I'm going to end all streams now.